All right, today's video is going to be on the business lesson on metrics I think that can be learned from Matthew Santoro's big fuck up. For any of you who don't follow things on YouTube, I don't follow shit on YouTube for the most part other than the comments on my channel. Grade A Under A did a video on this recently. By the way, for any of you who are not subscribed to Grade A Under A, it's a hilarious channel. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't think everything is funny, but it's fucking hilarious. Like 99% of it I find absolutely hilarious. I watch it before board repairs, during board repairs, after board repairs. If I'm depressed, if I'm anxious, if I'm having a bad day, I put on his stuff and I immediately have a smile on my face. It's really good content. I would suggest that you guys watch it. It's good stuff. But he did a video recently on all these videos that have been up on YouTube Drama, and BlackBerry, don't touch the keyboard. I have to turn the keyboard off because she's going to play with it and hit the stop recording button. I know how this works. So he did a video recently in response to all these people who did a video on YouTube Drama, and his video was calling out the people who were talking about YouTube Drama. And one of those people was Matthew Santoro. One of the things that Grade mentions in his video is he cites I believe he cited a Reddit thread and also a YouTube video where somebody showed you that Matthew Santoro is not making up his own facts. So what do I mean by facts? For anybody who doesn't follow this, Matthew Santoro has a YouTube channel with about 5 million subscribers on it. And he does videos in, I'm not going to bring it up right now because I just turned off the keyboard and the trackpad so my cat can't fuck with it. She's sitting on it right now. She loves screwing with my technology. It gives, it's what she lives for. She waits for me to come home so she can screw up everything I own. And he does videos along the lines of like 10 things that you didn't know about dogs, or like 10 facts about this food, or 10 silly things about this country. It's along those lines. It's facts, things that you probably didn't know that may be interesting, that, not life-changing in any way. It's purely for education and entertainment. So I'd say more entertainment than education. He's entertaining you by educating you. And he's the one who's talking and explaining all the facts and all that stuff, right? So what Grade A Under A points out from these other threads is that he's pretty much taking all these facts from another website. So there's this website called Listverse. And on that site, they have a lot of posts that are along the same lines. It's 10 silly things you didn't know about this country. 10 facts you didn't know about this food. And what Grade pointed out, and what all these other people were pointing out, is that what Matthew Santoro was doing with his YouTube channel was very similar, or if not the same thing, that a lot of us did in second grade when it was time for us to write a book report. I remember I had a choice. I could go outside, ride my bike, play video games, do fun stuff, or I could sit inside and read a 300-page book and write a summary of it. So what did a lot of us do? We found Cliff Notes, and we would paraphrase the Cliff Notes. We would change a word around every couple of sentences so it couldn't be said that we copied and pasted, so that if the teacher decided to search using Alta Vista or whatever the hell it was that was available in 1996 and 1997, wow, I feel old. Google wasn't popular when I was a kid. Man, that's sad, but we would do that so that if you just Googled it, you wouldn't be able to find that we plagiarized it directly. And he was pretty much doing that. He was taking the content, he was changing 1 or 2 words every other sentence, but pretty much posting a video a couple of days after Listverse would make a post. So Listverse would do the research, Listverse would find all this information, Listverse would publish the information, Matthew Santoro would read the post and collect YouTube ad revenue from it, without citing Listverse as a source, without giving Listverse credit, without giving Listverse a shout out. That's kind of fucked up. And he's getting a lot of negative attention for it. I honestly feel a little bad for the guy because he is getting, regardless of how bad what he did is, he's getting chewed out right now by millions of people. And that just doesn't feel good, I've done stupid things when I was younger. I remember what it was like to get chewed out by a group of people, but it kind of ends. The internet age makes it a little bit different, I remember when I was in 10th grade, I got a Frappuccino stain or some kind of drink stain on my shirt. I went to the bathroom to try to wash it out. The water went through the shirt as I was trying to wash out the stain, went directly to my crotch. I go back to class, everybody stares at me, they see that my crotch is the only area that's soaking wet, they know I left to go to the bathroom. I got chewed out for like 2 or 3 months on that shit over being the kid who quote-unquote pissed himself, and I didn't even get to piss myself. I had to go to the bathroom. And that sucked. But, like, we move on. It's like that was maybe 20 or 30 people that were making fun of me for that. That ended in 2 months, and it's gone. It's history. But with this, it's like, this is public. Those videos are not going down. Those threads are not coming down. And I humiliated myself in front of 20 or 30 people. He humiliated himself in front of the entire internet. Like, there's no recovering from that shit. At least that I can see. That's just like, you're going to be known for the rest of your life as that jackass that plagiarized list verse. And that sucks. I feel bad for him. But the reason I believe this happened is because he wasn't focusing on the proper metrics. He wasn't thinking about what it was he was actually selling. And that's the business lesson to be learned from this that I'd like to get onto in this video. So a lot of people are saying, you know, that all that stuff that he did was bad content. And a lot of this is coming from people that I look and they say that they were subscribers. They liked it. But now that they know that somebody else did the content, now they know that somebody else is writing it, suddenly they don't like it. And that I find a little bit silly. And the reason and here's the thing. I get if you, how do I put this? It's not like he was like stealing a research paper or something. And it's not, you know, it's not like he was inventing something. This content was used for trivial entertainment. And I don't mean to put the content down at all, but it's like, you know, 10 things you didn't know about celery and shit like that. That's not stuff that people are taking seriously. This is not content that people are, again, nobody's writing their PhD thesis on this. This is not going to affect the course of an election. This is just stuff that people are watching, you know, while they're cooking breakfast or while, you know, right before they go to sleep for their entertainment, for a little bit of entertainment. It's not that important. It's not that serious. So, and the reason I bring this up is because I believe that if he had simply been linking to list verse from the beginning, that nobody would have cared. Whereas like, if I copy and paste my thesis from my PhD from somebody else, my professor is going to say, fuck you, you stole that, no PhD for you. Probably say it a little nicer than that, but you get the idea. I can't do that if I'm writing, you know, a thesis for my PhD. I can't do that if I'm writing a patent. I can't literally copy and paste somebody else's patent and make it mine. I can't do that. But this is trivial fucking YouTube entertainment. It's like, it's not that important. I really believe that he could have gotten away with it just because it's not that important. Those people are watching this for basic entertainment. Those are people that may be listening to this in the background that may not be interested in reading the list from Listverse. They want to watch it. They want to watch it for whatever Matthew Santoro puts on top of it. I believe a lot of people would have still watched it, and even if they figured out, even if somebody said someday, oh, he's copying and pasting it from that website, or even if they saw in the descriptions of his videos, it said Matthew Santoro got this content from this website, I don't think a lot of people would have given a shit. I don't think a majority of the watchers would care. Most of the people who are watching his channel would probably see that there was a little link to where he got his content and go and said, oh, he's just presenting the content that he found somewhere else. Okay. He would have probably had haters and a lot of people that are like, ha ha ha, look, all you do is read stuff other people write and you make money. But that's just normal hate. That's just hate that everybody gets. How many people say shit, and again, I'm not trying to say that what he's doing is the same as what Let's Players do. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just trying to compare hate. How many Let's Players get, ha ha ha, all you do is play video games and you collect money, right? Like, everybody has haters. But that's a different, like, there's a different type of hate in the ha-ha, I don't think what you do is a real living hate versus ha-ha, you're a plagiarist piece of shit hate. See, those are really different levels of hate. One is a level of hate that's, you know, everybody's going to criticize somebody for something, right? And the other one is a legitimate, wow, the world legitimately has a reason to hate you for what you've done. Every time I give a middle finger, I kind of hope that I'm giving a middle finger that can live up to the middle finger that the big chin, tiny nose guy in Grade A Under A's video gives. I love that little middle finger that he gives. But there's a difference in the hate there, right? And what he did, what he was doing in the beginning, if he had just cited his work, it would have gotten him a tiny bit of hate. versus the ridiculous amount of hate he's getting now. And people would have still watched it. The people who are watching these little 5-minute clips of 10 things you didn't know about whatever, these are not people who think that shit is so fucking important that they're going to figure out exactly what the fuck your source is and stop watching your videos if you aren't the one who did the independent research. It's not that fucking serious. It's just, it's just 5-minute little entertaining clips. Most people watching that shit, again, it's like watching a silly cat video. How many people do the research to figure out if the person who uploaded the video actually owned the cat? How many people who watch a cat video, actually care if that's the owner of the cat or if that was somebody else's cat or if he re-uploaded a cat video that somebody else No, we don't. Nobody cares. We watch the silly cat video, we laugh at the silly cat video, and we move the fuck on. You watch one of his videos, it's, I didn't understand this. Oh, haha, I didn't know that. I learned something that was cool. Maybe I'll subscribe so I can watch again. And you move on. The majority of the people watching that content would have still watched it. So he got the metrics wrong. This is what I'm trying to get to here, and I'm very long-winded. I'm sorry for that. He got the metrics wrong. He thought what mattered. He thought that what he was selling was, I have original information. I came up with all these facts myself. No, I'm not going to cite anybody. I came up with all my content. He thought what he was selling was originality, when in reality, what he's selling is personality. And I know that that's a lot of alities, but it's late and I can't think of a better synonym for any of those. He thought he was selling the fact that he wrote the content. He's not. He's not selling the fact that it's original content. What he's selling is his personality. He's selling the video. He's selling how he edits the video. He's selling getting you interested in learning about this shit, right? That is what he's selling. And I can't see analytics. I can't see anything like that. I have a feeling that Matthew's videos probably have a much greater, what's the word I'm looking for here? This is dumb that it took this long to think of the word. I think his videos have a much greater audience than list versus articles. If I had to guess, I would say that more people on Earth watch Matthew Santoro's videos on list versus content rather than people who actually know about list versus content. And it's because the way he puts it out there is probably just interesting. He's selling the presentation. He's selling the video. He's selling getting you interested in this stuff. He's not actually selling the original content. And he could have actually gotten along very, very well for himself by simply selling the presentation of the content. Like, I'm probably going to get the name wrong here of the Broadway singer, but like Julia Udine is not selling the fact that she wrote the script to Phantom of the Opera, right? She's selling the fact that she can give a good performance of Phantom of the Opera. She's selling you the performance. And she makes good money as a professional. I saw her rendition of Phantom of the Opera. It was great. She makes a good living selling that rendition. It's not like people say, hey, you didn't write Phantom of the Opera. You shouldn't be allowed to make a living off of performing it. No, Matthew is performing a work that somebody else did. And he could make a good living off of that. He could have had a lot of subscribers and he could have had a lot of good shit. Instead, he decided to try and sell the idea that not only am I performing it, but I kind of made this content. And the reason I'm jumping to that assumption is because I can think of no other reason to go from having very little clout on YouTube to having 5 million subscribers without once mentioning to a single fucking soul publicly that, oh yeah, I get this content from this website. The only reason I can think of is that he wanted to hide that fact because he wanted it to seem like it was his own stuff. And that means that he forgot what he was selling. He didn't get that what he was selling was a performance. He didn't understand that he was thinking of the wrong metrics. It doesn't even fucking matter if his content was original. He still could have sold the performance, and people would have been happy with it. Again, there would have been the haters. There would have been the people that said, what you're doing is bullshit. But it would have just been regular hate. And he would have had a lot of people that liked it, that didn't care. And there would have been people that didn't even know because they didn't even bother to do the research because, again, it's a fucking 5-minute little funny YouTube video. Who gives a shit to research it, right? But he was selling the wrong thing. And because he's selling the wrong thing, now he's fucked. And now you have all those people that think that he was purposely plagiarizing, that he did it with malice of intent. Now there are all these people coming out of the woodwork saying, you should pay Listverse. I'm unsubscribing. If you look at his unsubscribe numbers, you'll see that they're going up and up and up and up and up. More and more people are unsubscribing from his content every day. And, it sucks. That could have totally been avoided. Now, in the beginning, could Matthew have potentially been contacted by Listverse and had them say, hey, we know what you're doing. We know you're stealing stuff. Can you politely stop doing that? And he could have dealt with it. You could have dealt with the situation as they came up, so long as you did it honestly, right? You could have said, okay, listen, I get that you may want compensation. Here's what I'm getting in ad revenue. What do you think is fair? He could have put the ball in their court. Please stop playing with that. He could have put the ball in list versus court and said, listen, I understand that you want to get credit and you also may want money. You paid to research this. What do you think is fair? He could have done that, and he could have turned it from this adversarial relationship, he could have made it into a partnership. He could have dealt with every single one of these problems as they came up, the way business people and the way that just content creators deal with problems in the real world, rather than hiding from it. But because he chose to take the stance of hiding from it, now he's screwed. And that all happened because he was thinking about the wrong metrics, the wrong thing. And he thought that the people were going to care about the wrong thing as well, the thing that defines his success. Again, it wasn't about the performance, it was about the originality of the content. And that's not true. And this is something that I can relate to my own field in a couple of different ways. I can relate it to both what I do on YouTube, and I can also relate it to what I do with my store. So again, for the people who may wind up clicking on this video that have no idea who the fuck I am, I have an electronics repair business. We specialize in component level repair of Apple products, mostly the stuff that every other store says, we're not touching this. A cat pissed on this, it's been near salt water. Anything that somebody else says, screw this, it's done for, I usually say, I'll take it, $300, and I film how to fix it. So that's what I do. Now, a lot of people like to lie and say they're certified, right? A customer will say, are you an Apple authorized service center? And they may do a white lie where they say, we have Apple certified technicians, which is they're giving an answer to a question different than what the person asked. Or they might just give a full-on lie where they say, yes, we are Apple authorized service facility, when they're not an Apple authorized service facility. It's very common in this business for people to lie about their certifications, to lie about their status as an authorized repair center, right? They don't get it. They don't understand how it works. Now, when they lie about their status, or even when they do that little white lie where they say, oh yeah, I have an Apple authorized technician, which is a guy that worked at the Genius Bar 10 years ago who hasn't renewed his certs since 2007, when you have that person working for you and you say that, you're now making the point to the customer. You're setting the rule, you're setting the metrics, you're telling them that this is worth lying about, that Apple certification is an issue and that it's important. I am going to lie, and I'm lying because I believe it's important. I believe it's important to me because I'm lying about it, and I believe that you should believe it's important because I'm lying to you about it. So now what those people have done is they've set it up in the customer's mind. They've set the rules of the game. They set the rule of the game that Apple certification is important. If I want customers to be impressed with me, I need them to think I'm Apple certified. And they'll lie. And when it comes out that they weren't Apple certified, that's when the Department of Consumer Affairs gets involved, that's when they get their license revoked, that's when the customer files a chargeback, and that's where it all went to shit. The reality is that they didn't need to be Apple authorized to perform that service, and they could have kept the customer if they had simply explained it. Everybody thinks, all these stores think that if I say I'm not Apple authorized, that the customer is just going to walk out. They're going to leave, I'm not going to make any money, I'm not going to fix their stuff, and I'll be screwed, they're not going to have confidence in me. And that's not how it works. I started my business saying, no, I'm not Apple authorized, and people would always ask why. So I decided to make a list on my site as to why we weren't Apple authorized. And I explain it in very simple terms. I say, if we were Apple authorized, I would have to replace this part at a $750 cost to you or a $1,250 cost to you rather than replacing the 17-cent component that's actually wrong. I don't want to do business that way. I don't like Apple certification. I don't like I don't want to be an Apple authorized service provider because I would be forced to pigeonhole you into these solutions. I have no interest in it. At one point, I even had a picture. I had a picture in my store that I printed out in the printer. It was of Triple H back from the late 90s or early 2000s making the suck it pose, and I had that next to a picture of a logo or something for an Apple authorized service facility. So I had the picture of it, and I had Triple H going suck it certification or something like that. What I was doing there, can you stop that? Can you stop trying to knock over my recycling? Clinton, come here. Come here, kitty. As long as... cats. So what I was doing there is I was setting the rules of the game. Rather than letting my lie set the rule for the game, meaning that I'm going to lie about Apple certification, meaning I'm sending the message that it's important, I'm setting my own rules for the game. The customer asked about it. No, we're not Apple certified. Look at the list of reasons as to why I'm not certified. Look at my Triple H sticker on the door saying, suck it, Apple certification. What I'm doing is I'm setting the stage immediately in the customer's mind with the FAQ on my site, with the descriptions in the store, with the pictures I have in the store, where you could see, here's what Apple certification, here's what an Apple authorized service center would do, here's what we would do. I'm proud of how I do business. So I'm setting the stage for the customer to understand that Apple certification is worthless, is useless, right? So when I set the stage in that manner, now there's nothing to lie about. I'm telling the customer that this is not important. Rather than lying and saying, well, yeah, I see that you think it's important, so I'm going to lie and say that I am certified when I'm not, I'm telling them it's not important and that you shouldn't even care about it. And you know what happens? I get a lot of business. I get a lot of business because of it. And one of the things that I've been doing with this YouTube channel the entire time, again, with the videos on, ow, why would you scratch me, Blackberry? Blackberry, you're Apple certified, aren't you, girl? Are you an Apple certified kitty? Is that why you just scratched me? That's not nice, girl. I never scratch you. At least not hard. I just pet you. Anyway. I see it, when I started doing this as a business, I had a lot of people coming to me who were genuinely concerned about it and genuinely asking about it as if it was something that was really important and worth being concerned about, right? And then, as time went on, I've been doing these videos for several years now. I've done videos on why I don't like the Apple authorized method of repair when it comes to accidental damage. I've done videos showing you what my approach is versus what the authorized approach was. I've done videos on Error 53 and how, again, your phone becomes a brick if you decide to change your own button. I've done a lot of videos on this, and what I've done is I've started changing the rules of my game. I don't have to even explain to people why it is, I'm not Apple certified anymore, Apple authorized. I don't have people walking in who are concerned that I'm not Apple authorized. It went from people being very concerned that I'm not Apple authorized. Now I'm at a point where people are sending me stuff and literally emailing me and saying, Louis, I opened it to see where I opened the machine because I watched your videos and I knew that I was going to have a jumper wire on my board, and I saw that there was a jumper wire on my board, and I thought that was so cool. And he's like, so why did you have to stand the capacitors up like this rather than have them down on the board? This is something that would have freaked out people 6 years ago. Like, I'd be getting chargebacks if they saw that type of shit. And now they're proud of it. They're happy. People are sending shit here just because they want to see what kind of sick shit I'm going to do to their motherboard to make it work again so that they can see the wires and all that crap. And that's a shift in culture. And that's a shift in culture that I had to be a part of. But it's because I'm focusing on the proper metrics. People want their stuff to work. They don't give a fuck if I'm authorized. They don't give a fuck if I have some type of special authorized service facility or anything like that. They want to know that if they give me money, that it's going to work, and that if it doesn't work, that I'm going to fix it again or that they're not going to have to pay. That's the metric people care about. They want to know that they're going to not get ripped off and that shit's going to work. It's not about authorization. So what I did is I decided to set up what was important. I decided to set the rules of the game. I decided to focus on the proper metrics that matter and influence people on what really matters. I didn't lie about my status. Rather, again, he set the rules of the game. He could have done the same thing. He didn't have to lie about where he got his stuff from. He could have simply said, in plain sight, I get my stuff from this website and I have fun reading what's on this website. And some people may have said that's bullshit, but a lot of people you may have found would have actually liked it. And nobody would have cared. And the other thing you have to think about here is how people approach your content, right? A lot of what you have to think about here is how people approach it. So with my stuff, right? Or let's say with his videos first. Let's go over his. With his videos, there are a lot of people who liked his stuff that now no longer want to watch it, that hate it. Even though his content has not changed, they're viewing it from this different perspective as a result of his actions, right? So with my content, let's just take an example of this. So there are many times that I get things wrong if it's really late. As I've said, I do a lot of my board repair videos at 2 or 3 in the morning. And there are times where I've genuinely screwed shit up, right? So there was one video I did in 2014 where I called a buck controller, I call the switching power supply a voltage divider. That is one of the most fundamentally stupid and ignorant things I could have ever said in any of these videos. Like, I called a buck converter a voltage divider. And that is bullshit. That is wrong. And that video, even though I corrected myself, somebody else corrected me, a bunch of other people, after they noticed that I corrected myself and the person corrected myself, continued to come back to correct me because that's just how YouTube works. But the thing is, a surprising amount of people liked the video. They watched the video. They referred it to their friends because even though I got one thing wrong, I got the rest of the video right, and there was something that they could learn from it. Now, I release these videos as myself. They're free. I say in most of these videos that I'm an idiot. I don't try to pretend I'm somebody I'm not. And I'm honest with you about who I am. I am somebody who barely passed high school, who failed out of college, who had an internship at a recording studio with other electronics technicians, that figured out most of this shit on my own, right? And the videos are free. So because of that, there is kind of like a goodwill. It's not like people are trying to like show me up or prove me wrong because I'm honest about who I am. And there's this thing that that Tyrion Lannister says in Game of Thrones. I forget the episode, and I apologize if I'm getting the quote wrong, but he says something along the lines of, if you wear your flaws or you wear what's wrong with you on your sleeve, nobody can use it to hurt you. And that's a really good saying that I think can be applied here. And again, I'm not trying to put myself down. I'm just stating the facts. I didn't do well in high school. I barely passed. I flunked out of college numerous times. And most of this shit is just stuff I figured out on my own. So because I wear that on my sleeve, and I say that I work until 3 in the morning every day, I'm not doing these videos in some high production budget. It's all me at work. I have to run a business, and after I'm done running the business, I have to do these educational videos at the end of the day. As you know, just my people don't really feel the need to beat me down over it, right? Because I was honest about it from the beginning. Now, let's say I take that same content where I fucked up that same thing, and I'm dishonest. Let's say that I tell you I have a PhD. I am a genius in electronics engineering. I am at the top of my field. We are the ultimate certified specialist organization. We spend $20,000 in production budget on every video, which is why we're charging you $20 a video. So let's say all my 500 or 600 videos were $20 a piece instead of being free. And the excuse I gave you for that is the high production value, the high production quality, and that I was this genius that just knew more than everybody else. If I call a buck converter a voltage divider in that same video, people would fucking crucify me. They would hang me up on a wall, and just hammer me right into it and watch me bleed to death on the internet. That's what they would do, because even though I had the same content, I'm coming to you lying about who I am. And I'm coming to you from this high point. And when you're at this high point, you're going to find that all these people kind of want to knock you down. And if you lie to get to the high point, they're going to have fun knocking you down. They're going to take pleasure in knocking you down. But if you start being honest about who you are and you fuck something up, people are not going to care about it as much. I wonder how long it's been since the cat knocked us over and you could barely hear me. I guess I'll find out when I edit the fucking video. That's part of cat ownership for you. But, BlackBerry, why do you have to fuck with the microphone? But the point here is that if you start in that honest place, then, people are not trying to knock me down over it. Like, you don't see a lot of comments like, ha, you're no engineer, because I never claimed I'm an engineer. You don't see comments like, ha, you think you know everything about electronics, but you're a fucking idiot. Because in my videos, half of the time I'm calling myself a fucking idiot. Because usually when I'm saying that, I did something that was fucking stupid. And again, it comes down to relatability. I mean, I had to think about what I wanted to do in the beginning. And about a year ago, when I branched off and I tried starting a different business with somebody else who had a totally different idea on my social media. They thought that we need to present the image of this company that, that we're just better than everybody else, we're smarter than everybody else, we have capabilities nobody else has, we have machinery nobody else has, we have processes that nobody else has. We have to present ourselves as being able to do things nobody else can do. We have to present ourselves as amazing. And the problem with that mindset is, A, people are always going to try to beat you down because you're starting by kind of lying, and B, people can't relate to it. You see, again, when it comes to the metrics, what's more important? That you think Matthew Santoro made all of his content, or that you know the reality of who he is? Like, what's more important for me? What's more important for me, that you think that I'm a genius that's above you, or that you can relate to me? I think it's infinitely more important that you can relate to my content, that you can relate to who I am, that you can identify with who I am, than it is important that you think I'm some sort of fucking genius, rocket scientist engineer. Which is why I'm okay sharing the truth with everything. And, there are some things where I don't tell 100% of the truth. Like I've said in past videos, I do have issues when it comes to keeping my hand steady, or facial tics, or keeping my legs steady, or keeping my balance, or remembering things, or having a good train of thought. And that's something that, again, that was a big reason that I called the fucking buck converter a voltage divider. That's a big reason in recent videos that I was, somebody said, you should not talk about things you don't know about. You have no idea how a PWM works. I know how a PWM works. I improperly explained it and fucked it up. And in that same video, I started troubleshooting a no backlight board. I forgot I was troubleshooting no backlight and started troubleshooting no power. And it was just, I'm not going to get into the why that is. I don't really feel like sharing every single thing about me with the world. There's just certain things that I like to keep private. There are legitimate reasons as to why my memory gets worse with time, why my train of thought gets worse with time, my ability to keep a train of thought gets worse with time, and why my ability to, just control my hands and certain movements don't get better with time. I don't feel like releasing all of that, but the point is, at the very least, I'm honest about the things I have issues with, right? And you're going to see that in a lot more of the videos that I do. Like, I'm not saying it because, like, I want sympathy or anything like that. It's just the truth of what it is. Like, again, I'm not going to say exactly what it is because, frankly, that's nobody's business but my own. But yeah, like, I screwed up in a video that I did 2 years ago. I screwed up a lot more last year. And what I usually do is I have a certain window of time every day where my brain kicks ass and everything works. I get all my stuff done during that time. That window is, it used to be like this much time, then it was this much time, then it was this much time, then it was... And now it's at a point where, like, I don't even care about the window anymore. I just work through anyway. And the thing about that is I don't have a window within which I can do YouTube videos where the rest of the world gets to see that I, don't have a perfect brain anymore. And it is what it is, and I don't care if people see that. But because I'm not trying to pretend, I'm not trying to say I have a better brain than all of you, what I find is that if I do that, that most people are not going to look down on it as if, like, in the same way that they would if I said, oh yeah, I have a 250 IQ and I was born better than all of you. If I tell the truth, and the truth is that I'm not telling the full truth, but the point is that I do have an issue that it's not going to get, like, I'm not going to get hated on as badly as I would if I tried to pretend that I was above everybody. And this is a comment I get regularly. Like, I get these comments like, you think you're a genius when you say this, or you think that you're above everybody, or you think that you're smart. It's like, no, when I say things like use your brain, I'm not saying those from a position of being above you. I'm saying that from being fully confident. So again, if I were to say, if you want to fix motherboards, you need the steadiest hands on earth. If you don't have incredibly steady hands, don't even fucking try. You can't be as good as we are. We're the professionals. And then my hand shakes on camera, or I forget something on camera, my audience will crucify me. Whereas if I have that exact same content where I screw something up or I can't put something on straight and I forget something in a video, but I'm honest about myself and I'm honest about my limitations and I'm honest about my flaws, if I do what Tyrion Lannister said and I wear it on my sleeve, then it doesn't get used to hurt me. I have a couple of trolls about it, but I'm not getting crucified over that stuff because I didn't try to be somebody I wasn't. I didn't focus on the wrong metrics. See, I don't care if some IPC certified instructor troll is going to write a 6-page dissertation on one of my videos once a year explaining how I'm a disgrace to electronics repair because I put too much solder on the center pad of a QFN, right? That's going to happen every now and then, but that's not the metric, right? My metric that I use to judge my videos is not, did I do a 100% perfect the first time soldering job the same way the fucking wave soldering machine at the factory does it. My goal with my videos is not, did I get nothing wrong in the course of as quickly as possible going to, here's the fault, here's us solving it. Did I solve it perfectly? That's not my metric. It's not about perfection. It's not about being better than everybody else. It's not about being a genius. It's about being somebody that you can relate to and about solving the problem. I realize that I'm speaking to humans. I'm making these videos for other humans. I'm making these videos for other people who are not perfect. So including something that's not perfect in my video and not editing it out, not trying to make myself seem more professional than I am, makes me relatable. And if I'm relatable to my audience, that is far more important than doing a perfect job in the electronics troubleshooting process, and it's more important than having a perfect soldering job on camera that I edited out 10 times, or hired some IPC certified fucktard that flames me all the time or trolls me all the time to do on camera, right? That's the important metric. And the fact that the channel was gaining like 30 subscribers a day, then 50, then 90, then 100, then 200. In January of this year, it was gaining 250 subscribers a day. Tells me that I'm focusing on the right metric. I don't have to care about the other metrics. I chose the right one. If I chose the wrong metric, if I thought I was selling you something that I wasn't selling you, I'd be fucked right now. If I had, and again, I actually sent this question to Eli, the computer guy, and he kind of agreed with me with what it came to how I dealt with my social media. But I sent that question in because I didn't want to change the way I did social media. I saw what was happening. I saw the increase in people responding to the content. I saw all these people that actually liked what I was doing, that identified with it, and I just saw something growing there, and I didn't want to take an entirely different course that wasn't honest and true to who I am, because A, that's not who I am, and B, it's probably not even going to work. And I was right in the long term. When I look at the numbers every single month, I know that the metrics that I'm focusing on are the proper metrics. And it's something that's really, really important. Because again, like with Matthew Santoro, he thought what was important was that he was the one who came up with the shit, right? He thought what was important is I came up with it. Nobody else knows that I came up with it. And I'm jumping to that assumption because over the course of the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, he never once fucking linked to one of these websites and said, this is where I got it from. That's not what he was selling. Think for a second. Again, think about your audience. How many of the people in Matthew Santoro's audience are the people who are going to Google, find out, they're going to say, wait a second, let me type out a transcript of what he said. Okay, let me put that transcript in a Google. Okay, let me cross-reference that with another fucking... They're not going to do that. They're not going to care. And they're not going to make it an issue unless you make it an issue. The same way that they're not going to care about who, whether this is the original uploader of the silly cat video. People watch that not to do all this research, not to grade it. They're not your teacher. They're not your second grade teacher grading your book report. And they're not your professor that's checking the thesis that you're writing for your PhD. They're doing it for the generic entertainment. They don't care. The right metric there is not caring about, being credited as the person who made the content. Your proper metric was, am I entertaining my audience? So when I said I was going to talk about his vlog earlier, which I didn't because I forgot it, here's the other point I want to make. The guy has a vlog channel with over 700,000 subscribers. The vlog channel doesn't do the regular videos that his regular channel does. He's not doing the videos and 10 crazy facts or 10 silly things you didn't know about, whatever. He's just talking into the camera. He's talking about his life. He's talking about what went on that day. 700,000 subscribers. He has, Matt, and I'm not saying this in a jealous way. I'm saying it to make a point. He has 12. I provide content on my channel. I'm not saying this to be jealous. I provide content on how it is you can make a 6-figure living in electronics. And he has 12 times the subscribers that I have on a channel where he looks into a camera and says, today I woke up and did this. The point I want to get across here is, stop that, kitty. Is not a point of jealousy. It's the point that he is talented enough as a performer. He's talented enough as a personality that it was never about being the original author of the content. He was good enough at that he should realize that is what he was selling. And he is able to sell himself as a personality. When you look at the fact that he has a channel where he looks into a camera and says, hi, so look at what I'm doing today, and he has 700,000 subscribers, that is proof enough that he has the ability to be successful on his own without having to pretend that he came up with shit he never came up with. But he didn't do that. And that is, and that's just kind of lame. Okay, listen, girl. You got to stop fucking with the microphone, okay? I know you like to fuck with the microphone. I know you like to figure out what it is I don't want fucked with, and you're going to fuck with it because you're a kitten. And that's what little kitties do. But please, look. See that? I even got you another cat so that you could fuck with the other cat instead of fucking with me. But it seems like you've both teamed up on me. You both try to fuck with me now instead of screwing with each other, which was my original plan when I got you. Come on now. Run off and be a kitty. Be a kitty with the other kitty. But stop screwing with my stuff, please. Good girl. Cat ownership. That thing that Tyrion said really holds true. It really, really holds true. Again, the same thing with my business. You have so many people that lie about being authorized when they don't realize that by doing so, they're shooting themselves in the foot. Even if the customer agrees with you, even if the customer believes you that you're authorized when you're not and leaves something, you've already lost because you're not setting the rules for the game. Do you want to live your life according to other people's rules, or do you want to create your own rules? When you wear who you are on your sleeve, when you are not afraid to showcase your flaws, you set the rules of the game that is your own life. I don't want to play my life according to somebody else's rules. I don't want to run my business according to somebody else's rules. And a lot of people will wonder why it is I'm successful when I curse and I do things that are quote-unquote unprofessional, and how it is that, again, my channel gains subscribers. How is it people walk into your business? How is it that people actually decide to have you set up office networks for them and phone systems and this, that, and the other and security camera systems when you're so unprofessional? You know why? Because I set the rules that I live my life by. I set the rules that I do business by, and I set up the metrics that matter. I tell my customers what it is that actually matters. You know how I do with that? I figure out what's important to them. Then I see what's important to me. And if what's important to me and what's important to them is the same, then I try to get rid of all the shit that is not. If I care about getting them a working product quickly and only taking money if it works, and they care very much about getting a working product quickly and only paying if it works and not getting screwed, then we agree. And I will focus on that. And I will get away from all this other bullshit like caring about authorized service this, authorized that. Do you have this tool? Do you use this JTAG diagnostic tool? All that is ancillary bullshit that doesn't fucking matter. I want to set the rules and the terms on which I do business. I want to set the rules for my own life. I don't want somebody else setting them. And you shouldn't let somebody else set the terms under what, the terms of what are important, or you shouldn't let somebody else set the metrics for your own life the same way Matthew Santoro did. And when you look and you see just how fucked this guy is getting right now, and again, he doesn't even seem like a bad guy. I don't know him in real life. I barely even know him online. I just watched a couple of videos before I did this one. He doesn't seem like a mean-spirited individual. He seems like a genuine, nice, down-to-earth guy. But because he didn't understand what metrics were important, because he chose the wrong things to focus on, because he didn't set up the rules and get you to understand what's important, because that's the thing, when you set it from the beginning, you can set what's important to other people. He's fucked. And that sucks. And I don't want to see any of you that watch this channel have the same thing happen to you. It's easy to fall into that trap. It's not just about plagiarism. It's not just about ripping stuff off from another website. This is a general thing that you can apply to so many other areas of your life. So many people focus on the wrong metrics. So many people focus on the things that don't actually matter when they could be focusing on the things that do matter. Focus on what does matter. It works for me. It works for other people I know. And it'll work for you.